logistics, we'll be automatically muting folks, and the presenter team will be sort of unmuting as they go. But if you do have the ability to mute yourself, you can also do that. And if you joined by phone, if you go to settings, the little kind of wheel at the top right corner, and then audio, there is a little thing that would say like already on the call, and then there's a audio pin that you can enter on your phone at any time, and that would associate your name with your phone. That way we will have everyone's name shown on the attendee list. So if that's something that you can do, that's just a good option. So just a note there. Otherwise, I'm happy to introduce our panel today. For those that were able to attend the ASHE conference, this panel is very similar to one of the sessions that were part of the Campus Lab curated track. I was able to attend that session and found the content very relevant, and I'm very excited that the team is willing to share again with us today. So we will hear 4 examples from California institutions using their campus as a living lab. Specifically, we'll be hearing from Skyline College, San Mateo Community College District, Orange Coast College, and UC Berkeley, as well as from Strategic Energy Innovations, a nonprofit partner working with these campuses across a spectrum of applied learning opportunities. And the really great thing about this panel is that we'll hear from both 2- and 4-year institutions. So hopefully there will be some takeaways for everybody that is listening in. And with that, I will turn it over to the team at SEI to start it off.
Thank you, Emily and Rochelle. Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. This is our reprise of our ASHE conference presentation. So we so appreciate the invitation to be with this group today. Really, the focus is demonstrating the variety of campus as a lab and what it looks like across a number of California institutions. If you could please sign in to the web address listed on the screen here, that would be much appreciated. We are operating under a grant, and this would really support us in meeting one of our grant-based deliverables. And we'll remind folks at the end, it's a very easy log on. I am Stephen Miller with Strategic Energy Innovations, a community partner, focused on building leaders that drive climate solutions at all levels, from youth to workers in the field, in professions. I'm Deputy Director at our agency, but I also serve as adjunct faculty at Skyline College, and you'll hear from a full-time faculty member shortly about their campus as a lab initiatives. We're proud to be joined by a number of other campus and district partners as well. So we have an ambitious schedule, and we'll do the best to keep everyone on track here time-wise with 1-minute warnings to each of our campus presenters. But really, the intention is to show the variety of how campus as a lab is showing up across this variety of campuses and higher education institutions. This is a small cohort of our broader statewide partnership with campuses under the Energize Colleges programs. And the Energize Colleges initiative is catalyzed through support from California ratepayers and through the investor-owned utilities. So it's really, the program is really meant to be a catalyst for supporting our higher education institutions to prepare the future clean energy workforce here in California, from technicians to policymakers. So we have 8 different energy and sustainability career pathways that we have focused on for this particular program. And you'll see on the slide that's being shown the variety of campuses, 2- and 4-year degree institutions across the state, and applied learning outcomes through student internships and through initiatives with faculty to provide for project-based learning channels in current and existing courses. And just to drill down a little bit further, the program has 3 main components or elements. And these are being translated differently at each of our campus institutions as they look to fully own and move forward with the program model in future academic terms. We have applied learning pathways for students through paid and unpaid part-time internships, both on campus and out in the community. We have curriculum innovation projects and support to faculty who are driving expansion of existing courses and certificate programs and the design of new courses and certificate programs that have very intentional applied learning opportunities for students to get experience and exposure to the careers that they're studying and preparing for as part of their academic programs. And finally, we have career launching experiences for recent graduates through dedicated fellowships on campus, coordinating the program with both campus and community partners and across the student and faculty populations. You can go on to our program website, energizecolleges.org, to access a number of the resources that we have been populating on that portal since the start of the program in the fall of 2016. The variety of curriculum initiatives, some of the examples you see shown here are available for public access and download, and these mirror those career pathways that I referred to earlier, and they are the results of our partnership with faculty across 2- and 4-year degree institutions on project-based learning, applied learning initiatives into existing and new courses. Also, just wanted to give you a sense for the standard structure for Energize College's part-time student internships, which is shown here. The photos actually do provide a good example of breadth of institutions that we've engaged with. The leftmost side, I believe, is lower left photo, and presentation from one of our Skyline College student interns, community college just south of San Francisco. The middle photo shows an intern from one of our private campuses, Claremont McKenna College. And the rightmost photo, a team shot from our UC Irvine internship team this past spring. But these part-time internships, for the most part, under our program model, we compensate students at the standard campus or local rate for those part-time initiatives that are scoped and intentionally curated for students with campus and community partners for students to plug into over time and across different academic terms. If we can move on to the next slide, just to give you a sense for the intentional process around these, the documentation of student outcomes with Energize College's internships. This is an example of one of our UC San Diego interns posters from last spring, from their work in a very technical focused internship with the medical center at UC San Diego. But the idea is to really have the student have meaningful outcomes that they can take with them from the internship experience, but also to really have tangible returns to the host organization, whether it's the campus or a community partner or employer, so that they can see the value of hosting students in very meaningful roles. Now on to the main event. I've been speaking long enough. We are grateful to have a number of our campus partners here with us to talk about how Campus as a Lab is being realized at their institutions and catalyzed through the Energize Colleges partnership. We'll be starting off with Catherine Patton, a former Climate Corps Fellow in our Climate Corps Bridge Career Fellowship Program, who is now full-time at UC Berkeley. Catherine will be talking about their new partnership with Energize Colleges and how they will look to expand their Campus as a Lab initiatives through our work with them. And we'll go on to hear from Orange Coast College, Skyline College, and Community College District in just south of San Francisco, San Mateo Community College District as well, with our key program partners to expand on their experience with on this particular theme. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Catherine, and please do chat your questions or your comments as we go through, especially if there's any burning clarification for any of our presenters. We'll look to be sure to, diplomatically interrupt just to make sure we clarify anything that might be of particular interest or importance for clarification. And then we'll have time for Q&A at the end. Catherine, the floor is yours. Thanks for being with us today.
Of course. Good morning, everyone. As Steven said, I'm Catherine from University of California at Berkeley. I work in our energy office on campus as an energy analyst. And if you can go ahead and go to the next slide, get started. So I wanted to start with a little overview of energy and sustainability programs at UC Berkeley. As maybe some of you know, the University of California as a whole has some really ambitious, can we go to the next slide? Thank you. Some really ambitious goals related to energy and sustainability, and UC Berkeley has some reach goals even on top of the University of California system. So the University of California system has a 2025 carbon neutrality goal that's really a driving force for a lot of our work in the energy and sustainability areas. UC Berkeley also has a 2020 zero waste goal, which pushes us further in the waste sector specifically. We also have a really strong student involvement in the environmental area. So there's our Student Environmental Resource Center, which is kind of an umbrella organization over 50 student organizations that are related to work on sustainability and the environment on campus. This is not a full picture of all of our energy and sustainability work, of course. I could give multiple slides on it, but it's a sampling of our goals and sustainability efforts that I think paint the picture for what's driving us in this work, and also showing that our students are extremely passionate and motivated to work on environmental issues, and we really want to harness that passion. So that's one of the big reasons we're excited to get involved with this program. To the next slide. All right. So I work in the energy office specifically on Berkeley's campus. Our office is located within the Facilities Services Department, which I think is important to highlight because we are really doing work that's boots on the ground with energy efficiency and working in our buildings to save energy on campus. As you can see on the right half of this slide, I included just a pie chart of UC Berkeley's 2016 emission sources and highlighted the steam, electricity, and natural gas wedges, which total 71% of our carbon emissions. And this is the area that the energy office is working in, is in our building's energy use. So there's a really large opportunity here to save energy and reduce our carbon emissions. So if you remember from the last slide, the Student Environmental Resource Center is over these 50 student environmental and sustainability organizations. And all of these organizations, there's not a single one that's really specifically doing work with the energy office to work on building energy efficiency improvement. So we really want to engage these students and their passion and motivation and the innovative ideas they have and bring that to our sphere of energy and the built environment. There's a ton of just passion that our students have on campus to do this work. And we feel that we really need to work to bring that passion to the 71% of our carbon emissions. There's also this bullet showing we're mandated by UC sustainability policy to reduce our energy use intensity in our built environment by 2% per year. This is just to ensure we get this loading order in the reduction of our carbon emissions to improve our efficiency and then look at using renewables and hopefully not too many offsets. We're very motivated besides this, but this is just another little bit of help in our justification for all of our programs. So I'd say overall, what we want to do is make this energy efficiency work tangible and exciting for our students, which it maybe hasn't been in the past. There's these 50 student organizations that are really excited about waste because it's tangible. It's something you interact with every day, with food, with environmental outreach. And we want to bring the same excitement to energy efficiency. So next slide. All right, so we're working to make Cal a living lab, which is a little play on campus as a living lab that I'm going to move forward with. So we want to use this fellowship and internship program, Energize Colleges, to bridge the gap between facilities work in the energy office and our campus community. Like I said before, we're hoping to put our students' excitement to work for our projects. So we have students on Berkeley's campus that have really strong skills with working with data and data analytics, and we want to use that to our advantage in our office. We're designing this program to engage interns in the full project lifecycle, which I think is a really strong goal of SEI that we also hold near and dear to our hearts, so that the students have the opportunity to start with a project, see it through, and have outcomes that are really successful for their learning, but also for our office and our goals and metrics that we're working towards. And the fellows will be able to report these savings and metrics to show progress on their project and justification. And we'll also be able to use those same metrics rolled up to show progress for our office for the program as a whole and justification for our program. You also can see a picture of our energy dashboard on this slide. And it's really great. We have energy data for all of our buildings on campus. But this dashboard, when you're looking at really large buildings that are using a ton of energy every year, it's hard to see the impact of specific projects that we're doing or individual actions that people are taking within these large buildings. So we're hoping to, through this program, build some data and metrics that show the total work of our projects on a smaller scale, so it's more visible to everyone on campus, and be able to build that engagement for the work that our office is doing. This program will also introduce students to career pathways in the energy efficiency world, which we feel is really important. I think you may hear from San Mateo about this a little later, but we feel it's really important to bring this new generation in to work in the energy efficiency world and mechanical systems world, where there's a workforce that's aging and getting ready to retire, and there's such a wealth of knowledge that we hope will be passed on to a new generation of workers. So
1 minute,
to my final slide. So this is a nice flow chart I put together of what we are excited to realize through this Energize Colleges program and the benefits we see it will provide for our fellow and interns. So you can see our energy office at the top. We're going to be able to provide guidance and support to our Energize Colleges fellow, who's full-time. And they'll be in turn providing guidance and support to our undergraduate interns. You can see some sample internship scopes. I mentioned the first one earlier, creating a live dashboard of energy efficiency projects, some work with water use of autoclaves, building scheduling on our energy management system, some policy work, and then also projects that are on and off campus organizations outside the energy office. And the interns will then be able to report their metrics, results, and outcomes back up to the fellow, and they'll be able to roll those up and report them back to the energy office. And this is really important for us because this fellow will provide us the bandwidth to support many interns and their projects and ensure the intern success and growth, as well as a successful program for our office. And this bandwidth just isn't something we have in our day-to-day operations with many projects going on with our current staffing. So we're really excited to bring a fellow in who is going to be a great resource for us to support all these projects and get a lot of work done on campus. Thank you, everyone.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you, Catherine. We appreciate hearing about a newer campus to the Energize Colleges network and the plans you have for expanding your campus as a lab initiatives. Mike Carey from Orange Coast College, you now have the floor to talk about the experience with Energize Colleges at Orange Coast since the spring of 2017. Mike, take it away.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Next slide. So Orange Coast College is a large community college in Costa Mesa, California, 164-acre campus, approximately 25,000 students, a little over 2,000 staff. Go ahead, next slide. Some of the energy-specific projects that we had are student fellows and interns working on were energy analysis of both of our existing solar array that we have on campus that you can see in the photo. That's a 1 megawatt solar array that we had that was actually installed prior to our fellowship and interns coming in, but we had the interns working on evaluating the efficiency and impact and energy savings that our current system has. Our students actually recommended that we seek additional solar on campus. Up until very recently, we were capped by the utility of only having 1 megawatt, so we were fully built out as far as solar, but that cap has been lifted, and we're looking at adding another 5 megawatts of solar, including storage, energy storage, or electrical storage. We're pretty close to signing to get that program implemented right now, and our students were instrumental in driving that. A couple of the other things that we had our students looking at was the energy impact of a food dehydrator on our cafeteria loading dock that was proposed by food service, and we had our students evaluate how much energy the unit would actually use to dehydrate this food instead of doing a composting program. And because of their analysis, we determined that the energy expended to operate the dehydrator would be way more money than it would be just to dispose of the food waste, which we don't want to do anyway. We came up with an alternative plan of sending food waste to an anaerobic digestion facility about 40 miles away from us. But our students did the analysis to prove the validity or non-validity of that program. We also had students working on our Prop 39 lighting retrofits. They worked closely with our facilities and maintenance and operations departments to look at the different areas of relamping. We just finished one of the last relamps of our football stadium. As part of our Green Office program, certification program, we also had the students evaluate the energy impact of mini refrigerators in offices and portable heaters and portable fans. And they determined that was an appropriate area to target as far as our Green Office certification of eliminating any mini fridges, heaters, and fans, and maybe just making the buildings more efficient in heating, ventilation, and so forth. Next slide. The students, for the most part, are working out of our campus recycling center. A little over 2.5 years ago, we rebuilt our existing recycling center and sustainability center on campus. We always like to say that we have the oldest collegiate recycling program in the country. Started in 1970 as a result of the first Earth Day. As a matter of fact, UC Berkeley started the same year, but since I have the floor, I'm claiming that we were the first. So sorry, Catherine. The students worked out of this program. If we can go to the next slide. The recycling center is actually the first LEED building that we had on our campus. We don't have the benefit of having the research dollars of a lot of the four-year institutions, but we really love to have the recycling facility be a LEED building. To that end, we had our students and interns working on our LEED scorecard and submittals. We also, after we achieved LEED Gold status, we sought site certification through USGBC. Our students in horticulture were really involved in getting the documents and submitting everything and actually doing the planting of the landscaping for our site certification. And our students were really instrumental in putting together the entire True Zero Waste certification that we did. We had our successful student intern submit that entire project to USGBC, which makes us the first facility in the world to hold all three certifications, which is quite an honor. That's actually a photo of me with Mahesh, who is the president and CEO of the U.S. Green Building Council. Yeah, go ahead, next slide, that's fine, perfect. One of my favorite programs that we did was our students did our first sustainability report for our campus. We were looking at going out and hiring a consultant to develop our first sustainability report and plan. The cost of that came back at well over 6 figures. So we got our students together and decided that we could put this together ourselves and at least do a first blush of it. And it was really rewarding because we broke out the report into the categories that you see here and the typical sustainability menu of items, whether it's energy, water, transportation, waste, purchasing. You can see the rest. Our charge to the students was to take a reflective look at what we're doing and come back with a report of all of these categories of where we are, where we want to be, and how we can get there. The campus really received this document and implemented it. This was in 2018. We're about to do a 2020 refresh of that and heavily involve the students in that as well. Next slide. Almost done. We also had the students, as I mentioned before, work on our Green Office certification program, kind of based on the U.S. Green Building Council's rating system. We have the different offices that submit for the Green Office program, do a self-reporting, and they log in their information on the self-totaling scorecard. And then we go out and do a site visit and verify what it is that they've accomplished. Next slide. And the current projects that we're working on are our energy auditing curriculum, a resource management certificate program, our enhancing our solar technician courses, and then, as I mentioned, updating our sustainability report. And that is all I have.
Great, thanks, Mike. Right on time. We're going to move on to hear from another community college partner, Carina and Suarez, professor of biology at Skyline College in San Bruno, just south of San Francisco. Carina, you're on.
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carina Suarez, and I am a professor of environmental science and biology at Skyline College. Can you put the next slide, please? So Skyline College is one of 3 colleges on the peninsula of just south of San Francisco. We are part of the San Mateo Community College District, and so we were opened in 1969. We sit on the hill between SFO, the airport, and the town of Pacifica, and you can see the photograph there. We're on top of the hill overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Our 2 sister colleges, one of them is San Mateo Community College, where the district office is, and you'll hear from Joe Fullerton after me from the district office. And in addition, we have Kenyatta College, which is further south in our county. So next slide, please. If you look at our demographics, our students, we have just under 10,000 students. We have a highly diverse student body. Our students are typically much younger than those seen in the other large Bay 10 of community colleges. Majority of our students are half-time students or less than half-time students. And we have 52% female and 45% male, and with a number of students not reporting. The diversity in our college is typical of what you see in California, where we have students from many different races. Next slide, please. So Skyline College has been working with Climate Corps for 7 years now. And the history of Energize colleges at Skyline College began in 2016. So we were one of the first community colleges to be part of the program. In addition to the Energize colleges, we also work with Climate Corps. We are the faculty sponsor of a climate professional certificate program that Climate Corps, which is a program by SEI. It's a wonderful program. I hope everyone looks into it online. Lots of information about it. But we are the academic part of the program. But in 2016, this opportunity came up with the grant that was received by SEI for Energize colleges. That first year, we were funded 100% by our local utility, which is Pacific Gas and Electric. What that funding did for us is supported 10 internships with campus students. So these are undergraduate students. In addition, it paid for a fellowship of a full-time of a fellow from that was associated with the Climate Corps program, but specifically for Energize colleges. In 2017-2018 academic year, we went to 50% funding from Pacific Gas and Electric, and 50%, the remaining 50% came from our President's Innovation Fund. We applied for a grant, and what our president does is basically holds a large breakfast and seeks donations for projects like this from our community here on the peninsula. Once again, we supported 10 students in projects that were energy related on campus, and we had a full-time Energize College's fellow, which is a recent graduate from a four-year institution leading that program. In 2018 and 2019, what occurred is we went to 100% funding. So we moved away from being funded by Pacific Gas and Electric to being funded 100% by the Skyline College President's Innovation Fund. Again, we supported 10 student internships and kept a fellow to basically manage the program. Next slide, please. So I want to talk to you about what we did in 2018-2019 as far as the internships and the students that we supported. On the right side, you will see photographs of some of our programs. But let's start from the top of the list. We basically had a student working with our engineering faculty, Nick Langhoff, look at the number of cars that were coming in on campus and look at the number of people that were using different modes like carpooling, people that were using cars that were energy efficient, and basically getting numbers for us. In addition, we had a energy systems technology management intern, and that fellow basically worked with Josh Bonison, who was our fellow from Climate Corps. We had two fellows. One of them was Energize Colleges, and one was a traditional Climate Corps fellow, looking at the use of energy on campus. Then we reached out to our community, and we had been approached by our local school district to work with Rollingwood Elementary. And the idea is that Rollingwood Elementary was slated to be closed, and nobody really wanted to see the local elementary school closed. So the idea was that if we made it, it's very popular nowadays to have schools that are like STEM schools. Well, we made it, the idea was we were going to do Rollingwood as a sustainability school. So we used two of our Energize Colleges interns to work with teachers from the kindergarten to the 5th grade. We were heavily supported by the principal, Colleen Hennessy. She was absolutely wonderful. And our fellow basically put two interns in to work with faculty on projects that were specifically geared toward elementary school students on sustainability on the campus. In addition, we looked at plastic reduction, and we had a zero waste intern, and that was supported by Madeline Willett, who actually comes out of Joe Fullerton's office. Next slide, please.
1 minute.
Thank you. In addition, we did other programs like on Green Office, Pathways, the electric vehicles, and solar panel use. The big deal here, everyone, is that what Energize Colleges has allowed us to do is actually give projects that to our students that make a difference. Our president, our administration is watching what we do, and our facilities is implementing what we're doing. So the program has really allowed us to give students real practical experience in real life issues, not just ones out of a textbook. It is a way that they can learn by doing. Has allowed our faculty here on campus to participate in a program that they basically are able to gain knowledge and data on things that need to be changed here on campus to make our campus more sustainable. It has allowed us to basically embrace basically teaching, but teaching in a real life environment versus just using a textbook. Is that it, Steve? Did I run out of time?
Did you have anything you wanted to finish up with, Carina?
I did want to finish up with that. Everyone, this has been a wonderful program, and I hope that your colleges can benefit the way we have from using the campus as a living lab. Thanks, Steve.
Terrific. Thanks, Carina. And last but not least, we have a community college district perspective with utilizing students and recent graduates in very technical projects. Joe Fullerton is here with us from San Mateo County Community College District. Joe, please take it away.
Yeah, and you can move right to the next slide. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to work with Carina and a lot of the other folks on this panel on a lot of broader initiatives that we're moving forward with at the district level. Just to give you a sense of what we're trying to do, here's our three campuses: Kenyatta College to the south of our county, College of San Mateo right smack dab in the middle, and of course you already heard from Carina at Skyline College. All these colleges are just they're beautiful campuses. They really have wonderful administrations, and we work collaboratively at the district office with all three of them to try to institutionalize sustainability. And by that, it's really looking at mitigating risk, driving business value or driving organizational value, and then also connecting with myriad and diverse stakeholders, both internal and external to our organization. Next slide, please. The primary method by which we move our sustainability initiative forward is Campus as a Living Laboratory. So, I've done a really deep dive on the pedagogical research on this in the last couple of years and learned a ton, both from practice as well as from that research. So, active learning is a common term, but we're really talking about peer-to-peer learning. We're talking about place-based learning. We're talking about project and problem-based learning. And we're really trying to do that in an interdisciplinary and or even transdisciplinary way. We're not quite at transdisciplinary yet, but certainly trying to connect different students and different subjects to address real issues on our campus and in our community. And we've had a lot of success to do that in terms of our student outcomes. And we're still trying to get a handle on how to track that. But we've also seen a lot of benefits operationally. And those include real energy savings, and I'll talk about those in a moment, but they also include the spillover benefits, and I mean that kind of pun intended because a lot of the work we've done is on water, but spillover benefits in terms of creating and connecting our faculty, staff, and students with our operations folks, and having them understand and see the life of a facility manager, the life of an operations professional on campus, and that creates this empathy and care and connection between these people that is really probably the most invaluable thing that's come out of a lot of our campuses living laboratory efforts. For example, on the picture on the lower right there are one of our operations professionals, Niazi Konya, is touring staff and showing them our chilled water system to students in the engineering program, talking about how thermodynamics work in theory and what really happens in practice out in the field, going through the technological elements that are included in the advanced control system, and showing and telling about the different maintenance and operations issues that come up with that technical, those types of technical resources. Next slide. So maybe some of you have seen this in the past. I think this is a really great way to envision and see the different levels of campus living lab that we try to define here on our campuses, and we have a couple other levels that we like to do. But really, this is, we use the SALSA scale, mild, medium, and spicy, to try to understand what our audience is and how they might fit into a project process or program that we're trying to initiate or carry on. And so we have folks at the novice level. These are folks in the 101 or 201 types of classes that are maybe doing, can do an exercise as part of a lab or as part of a course, a lesson plan. And as generally a larger group that is going to go out and intake a bunch of information and or data. And then second is the intermediate, medium level, and that level is really, this might be a club or a smaller group or a designation of maybe the environmental club, et cetera, who are interested in doing something tactical. They may have some level of interest, maybe not necessarily a real pointed direction in which they want to go. And so really giving them the support they need to do that. And then at the spicy or advanced level, we're really looking at somebody that's, you know, in an honors program, has a very specific project that they want to do, or that they, you know, have something very tactical and a very good sense of their time frame and what they can commit to it. And then, you know, really giving them the tools and resources to accomplish and be empowered through that. Next slide. I'll just mention that, you know, the salsa scale is kind of a fun way for us to relate this across our organization and why Campus as a Living Laboratory is, you know, how we do it and why it's important. You know, in the fellowships, and these are some of our Climate Corps fellows from last year, including Josh, who you already heard about on the right there, who are really beyond the spicy level. These are folks that are with us for the better part of a year. They're working on a myriad of projects, but they're also working at the programmatic level, helping us define and refine our broader sustainability initiatives, helping us do broader communications efforts, identifying different technologies and systems integration efforts, perhaps addressing fundamentally the problems, you know, the common problem of sustainability and being seen separately from our social equity mission, et cetera. So that's really some of the things that we're very intentional about in terms of bringing folks into our organization that have that perspective, that have that experience, and have the passion and capability to accomplish those broad set of issues, but also, as Steve mentioned, the very technical things that we're trying to accomplish. And so these fellows are really the core of moving from action, or from awareness through motivation to action, and then creating a feedback loop into more awareness within our organization. And that's a really critical component for what we're trying to do. Next slide, please. So, you know, here's an example of some of the operational benefits that we've seen from our fellowship programs. You know, all of our fellows over the course of 2013 to 2018 have been involved and still are involved in energy consumption reductions and energy conservation and renewables energy identification. Our current fellow, Fatina Abdul Kabir, is working on our decarbonization strategy. So we're now moving out of the realm of just saving energy and just saving water and just you know, reducing waste into creating a real way to fully decarbonize our operations on our campuses. And this evolution would not be possible with just myself doing this work. So having the mind, muscle, and passion of fellows to do this type of work really increases my own capacity, of course, but also our organizational capacity in terms of accomplishing our state's goals, as well as our global, you know, really requirements to respond to the crisis that we're in right now. Next slide, please.
1 minute.
So James is an example of one of those fellows as well, and James was one of our Climate Corps fellows at that super spicy level. He would always come to meetings with a very technical presentation, and then frame it like this: "Why are we doing this, you guys?" And then it forced us to think through our processes and our projects at a very basic level, right? And you know, it's easy in organizations to kind of get caught up in the rhythm of things that are happening and not step back and ask that question of why are we doing this? And so having these new perspectives from folks like James and from folks like Isabel, who is on one of our fellows now, is really critical to us helping step back and see through the different issues in a new perspective, and ensuring that we're addressing a comprehensive set of issues and not just, using a tool to solve a problem. Next slide, please. And, we really prioritize learning in everything we do in our facilities department and our sustainability team. And, this means also coordinating, collaborating with external organizations, and bringing folks onto our campus to see what we're doing, to work with us and collaborate and participate in the work that we're trying to do. I actually just came back from a conference in Sacramento late last night, where we're going to start building a decarbonization strategy for the entire community college system in California, which is the largest higher education system in the world. We're way behind where UCs are and CSU and the California State University system is, but that's a massive step in the right direction to have a huge benefit. And one of the big conversations in that discussion was, how do we bring more people from our community into the actions that we're trying to take, and how do we ensure that our educational apparatus is set up to help us accomplish operational missions and so forth, right? So that's a really, really big change in how California can operate in the near future, and I'm really proud to be part of that solution set and have folks like the folks that are on this call helping in that regard.
Terrific. Thank you, Joe. So we got through our bevy of campus case studies. Appreciate our campus partners for being mindful of time. We do have about 10 minutes left in the hour for any discussion, Q&A. I know at the ASHE conference, we actually leveraged technology to have a shared Google Doc where we had small groups all sharing challenges and successes around Campus as a Lab with the prompts that you see here on screen. Where is Campus as a Lab showing up in your institution? For making the case, what are some of the key benefits and outcomes from these projects and these initiatives that you and your colleagues are able to tout and showcase? And then, what, if anything, new ideas from these campus partners have you heard today that you might take back to your institution? So a little more difficult for us to do that sort of shared group work via webinar, but we certainly do welcome any additional questions. I know a key theme that, and please do chat them just for the sake of efficiency, and we'll look to address them. I know a key theme that came out of the ASHE session was just the challenge around first cost. How do you financially, make the case for funding student interns, for recognizing them for their work, for getting staff time, support time to coordinate these efforts? We had a very creative discussion as a group at ASHE around that, in terms of the variety of potential sources for support, financial support for these Campus as a Lab projects through campus funds. Carina at Skyline mentioned their President's Innovation Fund, through approaching your local electric and gas utility for connecting some of the projects and outcomes to their goals around workforce education and training, through approaching local organizations and employers for hosting student interns, and then quantifying the impact so that they can look to monetize the value of those sponsorships over time, and really start to budget for them for year on year for hosting students from your institution. There's certainly no magic bullet. It depends on your specific case and situation and where you're located. But, there certainly are creative ideas that I think a number of us could be thinking about that we might not be actively pursuing, currently. Alyssa, have there been any questions that have come in that we want to address? Here's one. What are some challenges with embracing the type of program that you heard of here, with a dedicated fellow coordinating Campus as a Living Lab initiatives and student interns working on campus and out in the community from an operational perspective? So I actually would put that back to one or more of our presenters. Operationally, what were some of the challenges with getting launching your student internship programs with getting that type of initiative up and running so that it could be replicated across academic terms and can be supported in the process.
So this is Joe, and I can comment on that. From the facilities department's perspective, we have lots of students and some faculty too that are really interested in doing stuff on campus. And it almost always comes back to taking a nut and a bolt and putting them back together. Facilities world is often impacted by campus's living laboratory methods. And when it's not systematized and or not kind of strategized at the organizational level, that can be really hard to do. So, the example of that is, a student says, hey, I want to use our electricity data to figure out how much less money we should be spending at our campus. And you're like, okay, but there's a lot of contextual information therein, and we need to dig into this conversation, and you kind of need to see from our perspective where, how cost is really allocated and how we really look at this issue, and you understand energy utilization intensity and all those things, right? So, so the fellowship actually helps us formalize that a little bit more, helps create relationships with faculty, helps us build in the systems by which we can kind of have nodes and gateways within the system so that everybody knows how and where to make decisions within the process. So that's a really important piece of it. Some of the other barriers, certainly, the barrier of cost is real. But what we saw in our first 4 years of establishing fellowships was about $450,000 of operational savings and or value from those fellowships. And that actually helped me build a team of full-time people within my organization, and really helped us broaden the sustainability work that we were trying to do beyond just a simply energy, water, waste, utility savings. So those barriers, while they're significant and real, setting up those systems and structuring them in a way that they produce value for the organization can and is done. Many of you organizations, higher ed, have some type of internship program. So, the basics of like getting a computer and email set up and all that stuff is there too, but provided that you have other internships that you offer, it's very similar to that in terms of, those process steps.
Thank you, Joe. We have another question, but before we move on, Carina, Mike, Catherine, anything else you want to add to that item or that question around operational challenges? Okay, just wanted to ask. And then our next question, are there institution-wide goals, initiatives, learning goals, initiatives that these types of programs can help to address? And Mike, actually, I think you might be a good person to field this initially in light of how you utilized student interns in support of campus-wide planning efforts.
Yeah, it did help us really, especially with the sustainability report that we had. The work that the student interns did really got them FaceTime with administrators and decision makers that they wouldn't normally have got, and it was really beneficial for us to have the framework set for the sustainability report, that if we were going to do that in-house, it was almost be an insurmountable task trying to get the decision makers to sit down and write their own chapter of, like, getting our energy department to do the baseline work and reporting for their section of the report. Allowing the interns to do that gives us the framework to actually institutionalize the document and make it effective going forward. We're finding that it's a lot easier for all of those people involved to update sections that have already been initiated rather than starting from brand new. So we're getting more campus-wide buy-in because of the work that the students did on the front end. So it's really allowing us to have a comprehensive program and document at the end that will be institutionalized.
Thanks, Mike. I think that's really helpful. Joe, Carina, Catherine, anything else you want to add to how Campus as a Lab can support broader institutional goals or learning outcomes?
For Skyline College, sustainability is part of the mission of the college now. And so all of our efforts are really being looked at and really embraced by our administration. And so faculty basically involved in our projects really feel like they are part of the campus efforts. And so it has been quite wonderful to see that and the evolution of our campus.
Great. Thank you. Terrific. Well, I believe we're at time. Emily, Rochelle, I don't know if you have any sort of closing comments or logistical items you want to call out, but I just want to thank everyone for their time today, especially our campus presenters. We so appreciate your being willing to be with us and reprise our ASHE presentation, and Catherine, for you as a pinch hitter for a newer campus in our partnership. We thank everyone for taking time out today just to hear some of these California campus case studies on the broader theme. And Emily and Rochelle, I'll turn it back over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. What a well-oiled machine. I can't believe the amount of content and discussion we were able to have in an hour's time. Thank you to all of the presenters so much for your time and expertise. And thank you to all of you participating in the call. I hope it was useful for you. And as I mentioned earlier, we will be posting this to our Google Drive, so stay tuned for a link there. That will be shared by email. At the same time, we'll also share some information on our next webinar slated for December. Emily, anything you wanted to share in closing?
Nope, I'm good. Thanks. Thank you to the presenters.
Fabulous. Well, with that, we will adjourn our call. And I wish all of you a wonderful rest of your day and look forward to seeing you in December.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.